Our podcast is a part of the World Podcast Network, now with over 1,000 podcasts. Visit the World Podcast Network at worldpodcast.network to listen to podcasts in over 12 genres. Come vote our podcast episodes up and help us rise on the leaderboard. If you have a podcast of your own, you can join for free. Welcome to Reality Tea Times 2, the podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we love to hate. I'm Tanika, and today we are going to be discussing finally 90 Day the Other Way. So again, as mentioned in the previous episode that I did, which I think was HEA, I believe. So we're going to be doing the first episode of Toe as its own episode because it is a 2-hour episode. There is so much I'm going to talk about. And then we're going to do the next 2 episodes, to episode 2, episode 3, and its own episode, which will follow, most likely will follow this one. And that is what we're going to be doing. So we're not going to be doing any hot cross in this episode. We're just going to be jumping right in to the reason that we are here. So, 90 Day Toe, Season 6, Episode 1, My Best Friend's Meddling. I love this movie. Just don't know what to do with myself. Okay, I'm not going to do it. I love this movie. Anyways, move on. We're going to start with James and Meitlalia, which from this point on, I'm just going to call her Tata. It's a little easier. So we have James. He's 33. He is from New Gloucester, Maine. He is an elevator mechanic. He actually works with his family's business. He said that it is one of the top 10 most dangerous jobs, which I can definitely believe. He says that actually his father had an injury happen where an elevator ran over his fingers and chopped them off. Jesus fucking Christ. And of course he had to have he was at least able to get his fingers sewn back on, so at least there's that constellation with this, God. But it is, the other thing that he really likes to do is he likes to go out into the woods, kind of look at different, I guess, rocks. Sometimes he might find a fossil. He says you kind of feel like a modern day Indiana Jones. And he will also do this with Tata, who is his wife. She is 27 years old. She is from Indonesia. Where she lived, the city that she lived in, they call it the Banana City because they have a lot of bananas. We'll kind of see a little bit more of that in I believe in the next episode. So, or is the next episode, or whichever episode it is, at some point we're going to hear more about the bananas. They have a cute little pup named Jojo. What a puppy. They have been married now for about 2.5 years. Together in total for 5 years. He is the one that reached out to her. He DM'd her. And kind of just from there, they started talking, obviously getting to know each other. He eventually would go see her. And we'll get more into that though. She says that she's a very jealous woman. And he says that she actually said to him that if you cheat on me, I will take your dick away or cut your dick. I mean, I would say I will cut your dick off. I'm pretty sure I've actually said that to my boyfriend many a times because it's mine, you know. So he says this, and as he's saying this, he starts laughing kind of hysterically a little bit. Definitely the laugh of a man who's very scared. And the producer's like, why are you laughing? He's like, because it's so scary. I love this show. So she does tend to have a lot of emotion. She says that like her emotions can go from like 0 to 1,000 in a split second. So she's very up and down with that. And he asked her to marry him. So when he did go to Indonesia, he asked her to marry him on the 5th day of his first trip to Indonesia. And she obviously said yes. They did the K1 visa process. They got married, and the rest is history. But she kind of hates the weather in Maine. It's not for her. Totally get it. And she is not happy in Maine anymore. Again, she tried. And the other thing I think is probably the main reason they're going the other way is because she's actually getting sick quite a bit. She's kind of, I'm going to give my thoughts on this. She's kind of describing the fact that she can't swallow properly. It hurts to swallow. She has the lump in her throat, and she says like the doctors that she has seen don't seem to be able to pinpoint what the issue is, and are just kind of maybe either brushing her off, saying she's probably a crazy woman, or they're just not able to help her, which I actually find really fucking surprising based on what she's and I'm not a doctor, but based on what she is describing. It sounds like there is something wrong with her thyroid. Because again, like I have hypothyroidism, but I remember seeing endocrinologists and all of that. And I remember the endocrinologist checking my throat, or more so checking my thyroid, to see if everything was functioning the way it needs to be. Swallow water, they feel the thyroid as you're swallowing and all of that. Like, that's what it sounds like. Now, I don't know if it's, hyper. I'm not sure if it's anything quite like that. I don't want to go dark, but it could be cancer. Could be any number of things, especially because she says that I've had that happen to me where not so much pain, but again, it's short-lived. So it's probably more of just maybe you're sick or something's inflamed or whatever. But I had a situation similar to this where it didn't so much hurt to swallow, but I felt it. Like there was something going on, and I kind of just waited it out, and eventually it would go away. But when you have something like this going on for, I don't even know how long this has been going on for her, and you have doctors literally dismissing you, like, that doesn't make any sense to me. I do wonder if they're dismissing her or they're not taking something seriously because of the fact that she is a foreigner. I'm sure that plays a fucking role in this, which is ridiculous to me. Like, at the end of the day, this is a young girl, she's 27 years old, complaining of issues that is not something a normal person is dealing with. Fucking help her. This is ridiculous. But with that kind of, being said, I definitely understand her reasonings for wanting to go back home so the healthcare is better in Indonesia. Obviously, she's comfortable with the healthcare there, so they're going to go back and they're going to try and figure out what's going on. But again, like, those were just kind of my theories on this, like what she was describing, and like it just doesn't make any sense that these doctors can't seem to figure out what's going on. Because I feel like, again, not doctor, but I feel like, again, as a person who isn't a doctor, can kind of pinpoint maybe that's what's going on. Just an idea, Anyway, so yeah, because of this is why they're going to be going back to Indonesia. She wants to be able to have kids. She wants to be able to be healthy. So she, wants to go back home and deal with that. So, but he does mention that there is a secret that he has to tell her that he hasn't told her yet. And He's a little nervous to tell her. We are going to figure out what that secret is, I think, at the end of this episode. I think, I mean, it makes sense. This was probably the secret, but we're going to get to it. I think it's in, yeah, end of this episode. So we won't have to wait too long. But we are at a music store. We gotta trying to make some money, basically. So what he's going to be doing is trying to sell his record collection that he has. And Tata's actually going to be going to Indonesia first. And then he's going to stay behind for about a month and a half, make some money, save that up, and then come after. So he is going to try to work for her dad. That seems to be the plan. And her family, I guess, I don't know if they necessarily own a business or it's kind of like their hustle. I'm not sure. Either way, it's still a hustle. They make banana chips. So that's kind of what they're going to be attempting to do. So his family doesn't know, though, that he's going to be leaving. For whatever reason, he's made a decision that he is not going to be telling his family yet. We are going to find out what the reason is in the most recent episode. But yeah, he hasn't told them. And of course, she feels a way about this because, number one, she doesn't want to lie to his family. Number two, she wants to be able to say goodbye to his family. And she can't do that because they don't know that she's leaving. And so it's not a great situation, but he has his reasonings for wanting to do this. I am curious if she knows the reasons. It makes me wonder, but yeah, she just kind of really wants to tell them. And he does kind of say here, which again, we don't get a lot of context because when he first says this, you're thinking, well, why would they do that prematurely? We'll get some answers, but he does say here that he's worried that if he tells them now that he'll get kicked out of the business and then he won't be able to make any money to go back to Indonesia. And so, yeah. But they're having this argument in this very nice record store. And there's like a woman who we didn't really see much of. I'm not sure if she works there, she's a customer, what the fuck. But she's like looking over at them with this look of, she's like, my God. But we have the record store guy, I think his name was Mike or something like that. He comes by and he says, so I went through the records and unfortunately I got some bad news. I won't be able to use them. Won't be able to sell them because he says like the type of music that I guess these records seem to be is more easy listening, cocktail type music, like, yeah, easy listening. We all love a good easy listening type music, right? But he says, unfortunately, this is the type of music that today's world doesn't particularly want to listen to. So because of that, these records are just not going to be able to be sellable. So that's basically it for the records. So in the next scene, we see that she likes to make jewelry when he's gone working. It's kind of something, I guess. I don't know if she mentioned she sells the jewelries. I think she does, but this is something that she likes to do when she is on her own. But her best friend in the States, her name is Adele, is here to come kind of spend time with her, help out with the jewelry and all that. And she says, I want to tell Adele that she's going to be leaving. Because again, no one in her life knows that she's leaving. So when Adele gets there and, she barely settles in and Tata ends up telling her, so yeah, I'm going to be moving to Indonesia. And she's a little emotional as she's saying this. And Adele says, oh, so when are you going to be leaving then? And she says, tomorrow. Oh. so this is the last time I'm going to be seeing you for a while. Okay. And she has explained that the reasons that she's leaving is because of her health and all of that. And she does say, like, she wants to be able to have kids in the future because of that, right? But then Adele just kind of blurts out this bomb of a thing that it was told to her. And she says that he told me, meaning James, that he wasn't really excited at the idea of having kids. Tata's like, what the fuck you say? And she's like, when did he tell you this? And she said, about a couple of months ago. And she's like, what? And when this conversation happened, from Adele's perspective, Tata had actually gone to the bathroom. They were left alone. Some have a conversation prior to that, went to kids or whatever. And it was at that point when she went to the bathroom that James said to Adele, I don't really want to have kids. What the fuck? We're going to get so much information on this, which is why I'm going to not dive deep yet. But, so she said the only reason that she didn't tell Tata about this is because she thought she already knew. And she said if I knew she didn't, I would have insisted he told her. But Tata says that we've been making plans and you don't tell me this. You know, she's like, what the fuck? She's like, I want to have 2 kids. And she says, I told him that I want to have 2 kids, for which he also said that he wanted 2 kids. So she thought that they were on the same page with this. So here's another situation they're going to have to deal with. But we go to the next scene. There's so much with this episode. Anyway, she's going to be leaving for the airport in a couple of hours. So it's the next day. And he gives her this letter that she is not allowed to open until she is in the air. And so she is not going to be having the conversation with him right now about what Adele told her the day before. This is her last day here. She kind of wants us to be peaceful, so she is not going to address it yet. It's not going to remain peaceful, let me tell you. So he tells her, there is something that I have to tell you. He says, so I've had to, deal with a few things, obviously, for us to be able to move. And some of those things have not been done on time. So because certain things have not been done in time, in particular, things being done on time for Jojo, which again, for a reminder, is their dog, he is not going to be able to bring Jojo with them for quite some time. If, for fuck's sakes, ever. So she says, you're telling me this now. She's like, on the day of my trip, you're telling me this now. And guys, when I say she broke my heart and Jojo broke my heart in this moment, I was getting emotional. I was crying because Jojo couldn't go. And she's crying. She's freaking out. She's like, Jojo. She's just freaking out. And Jojo's there like, what? I'm here. What's going on? But you could tell that Jojo knows that, like, dogs are so smart in the sense that there's something off here. And I'm here. Like, I'm right here. Oh, it was so heartbreaking. But she's like, I don't want to leave Jojo. She explains that, like, she has such a close relationship with Jojo because when he's at work, JoJo's all she has. Sorry, every time I say JoJo, I want to say Mojo JoJo. Anyways, so yeah, the dog is very important to her. But he explains the reason that JoJo can't come with them is because there are a lot of dangerous things currently in Indonesia that could pose issues not only for JoJo, but for, human contact as well. One of those things being there isn't a rabies outbreak currently. So the thing is if JoJo shows any signs of illness, if JoJo has symptoms of COVID, has symptoms of rabies for some reason, anything, any little thing could make this dog end up being euthanized, which seems so fucking barbaric, but at the same time, I get it. This is the protocol. These are the rules. This is what Indonesia is doing to not only protect any animals in the country already, but to protect the people there. So I totally understand it. It's so fucking barbaric, but I get it. So because of this is his way of protecting JoJo, long term. So he says, like, would you rather have to wait a few months, whatever, for everything to work itself out? Or do you want me to bring JoJo now and take the risk that JoJo could end up being euthanized and taken away from us forever? So once she is able to calm down from this, she does know, like, this is the right decision, that JoJo does have to stay behind. But it was just, she kind of just wished that she knew prior to today, because not only does she have to say like her goodbyes to JoJo and to him, like, she doesn't know when she's gonna see JoJo. It's a lot, and I feel for her. So he says that, okay, when he explains to her the reason that he didn't tell her is because I knew if I told you, you wouldn't go, and your health is more important. I hear him, and he knows his wife. We just met her. He knows his wife. However, it does feel a little bit manipulative. She is an adult. I think she can come to the realization that her health is more important without you hand-holding her through that. I think she gets it. You know what I mean? But anyway, that's it for James and Tata for now. Let's move on to our favorite fucking couple, Sarper and Shekinah. Can you tell my excitement? I mean, Sarper brings the funnies, I guess you can say. Whatever. But here we go. So, this is fucking cringy because we see her, not this part, not the cringy part, her lingerie and all of this, and, they're role playing, I guess, and he's like, I don't know what the fuck he said because I was just so fucking cringed out, but he's like, what's your name? And she's like, what do you mean, what's my name? Jesus fucking Christ. If you're gonna role play, go all the fucking way. Jesus. And he's like, no, don't use your real name. Use a different name. Like, role play. She's like, no, that's too far. We're going to use my name. The only reason she says we're not going to use a different name is because she doesn't want, what are the chances she picks something like, I don't know, Barbara, and he potentially probably had sex with a Barbara. You know what I mean? That's why. Anyways. So he's like, you're my Barbie doll and I am your Ken from Turkey. Or Istanbul, whatever he said. And he then says, which I don't need to fucking know, but here we go. He says to her that his dick is the Statue of fucking Liberty. What did the Statue of Liberty ever do to deserve being compared to a hard fucking cock? Jesus. Anyway, so I guess the laptop died at one point, and I'm like, you couldn't plug it in prior to the role playing? You have to know your laptop is gonna die. Like, currently, my laptop is full. I'm good. But she thought that when he mentioned that he had sex with 2,500 women, that it was a typo and that he actually meant 250. She said, obviously 250 is still a lot. Yes, it is, but it's different. It's not 2,500. So when she realized, nope, the 2,500 is accurate, and actually, y'all, might be closer to 3,000. I'm sick. I'm fucking sick. It's another 500, right? But I'm fucking sick. What the fuck? Listen, listen. No. I definitely have had sex with men who were close to 100. But if you go over that, I'm rethinking all my choices. Like, me and my partner, our numbers are similar, but it's, mind you, we're not gonna talk duration, but that's the thing. Like, it's similar, so I'm comfortable with it, because who would I be? But it's 2,500. If my man told me he had sex with 2,500, I'm literally going to want to only see, is it possible for a man's dick to still be attached to his body after that many people? Not only that, though, I'm not touching you past that. Are you fucking kidding me? I'm not touching you that way at all. I just merely want to see if it's attached to your body. That's it. Like, I, how can you, how can you? I just don't get it. I don't even understand. Anyways, he still does want to have a child with her, even though they put the child conversation to bed. But he is going to basically follow her lead, her choice. So he's going to respect whatever her choice is going to be. Anyways, she does kind of, or one of them does say that she would go back and forth between the States and Turkey every 5 weeks or so, so she could see her daughter. And then the money situation got a little bit tight because she can't work in Turkey, which is duh. So the last time she came back to the States, she ended up kind of just staying. And now it's been 3 months since they've seen each other in person. And he explains that she has been very possessive, kind of hounding him, wanting to know what he's doing. Where are you? God forbid if he doesn't answer a text message right away, she's losing her shit. And yeah, he's like, I'm not doing anything. For once, he's not doing anything, he claims. But he doesn't like it. But he says that he will get so mad that he will actually break up with her and then go back like 10 minutes later, because how could he ever leave her, right? That's not a healthy way of dealing with the situation. But then again, who am I? But this conversation, it's kind of ruining the mood now, because there was supposed to be sexy time or whatever, and now we're talking about our issues. And he does kind of say, oh, here comes the numbers, because it's been, or I think it's going to be, another 7 days and 108 hours more before she gets there. She says that she misses him, and he's like, I'm worth it. That's not the response. If my man said that to me, if I told him that I missed him and his response back to me was, I'm worth it, I'm literally taking it back. I'm taking it back. I no longer miss you. What the fuck? Anyway, of course, later on we see him working out, and, he's counting the noodles. I think the rice actually was rice grains. He's counting the fucking rice grains, y'all. He says that he, when he gets anxious, he counts. It calms him down. He is counting, like I said, these rice grains, and he thinks that he definitely has like an OCD or some sort of something going on. I definitely think it's the OCD. I'm gonna go for that because yeah, something neurodivergent is going on here. But he says that he's been kind of this way since he was a child. And he says like when he was a kid, he would count the cars that would drive by. And, I guess it would calm him. And obviously, as he got older, instead of counting cars, he counted vaginas. Oh my God. I mean, I'm not necessarily laughing at this, the counting aspect of it, although we all did and we all still do. But it's just the progression of the things you count. But yeah, so that's kind of what he did. So we kind of see him prior to our shoot to us seeing him with his niece, he actually said that he would actually fuck about 4.5. He's fucked 4.5 women in one day. That's the most he's had sex with in one day. The half is because it just wasn't working at the end. But I've done the same fucking thing. Anyways, but yeah, he says that, and I think he says that like to kind of, I guess, quell the anxiety, sex helped that. Yikes. But yeah, that's what he kind of says. And since he is now in a monogamous relationship, that is a long-term monogamous relationship, when she's not around, what do? You have to now start counting. Again, I guess like that's kind of what I was gathering from what he was saying here. But anyway, then we see him with his niece, and her name is, I think it's Dafina. And they both put on these little tutus on, and he looks very manly. It's very cute, sweet. And he says people only see the muscles, but he's like an iceberg. You have the top of the iceberg, the little tippy top of the iceberg. That's, just so broad and menacing and can put holes in the Titanic. It's all of those things. But underneath the surface, it's more than just a thing that caused the whole ass ship to go under that is still killing people to this day. Too soon? Anyways, it also has this really soft side to it, even though it doesn't necessarily feel that way because it's a fucking iceberg. Yeah. Anyway, that's what he says. He describes himself as an iceberg. And his sister, I think we've met her before, kind of rounds the corner, and they're, they start talking about, Shekinah and everything. And he says like his sister is kind of someone he definitely is able to confide in and many things, but that there are certain things that she doesn't know. For example, the fact that he has had sex with 7 of her friends. She knows about some, not all. Let me say this again. 7 of her friends have fucked her brother, and she doesn't fucking know. I'm at a fucking loss for words right now. 7. The fuck is wrong with this man? There are so many women in the world. You have found 3,000 of them. Who the fuck knows? I don't even know anymore. 2,500 sounds better. But you have had sex with 2,500 plus women, and 7 of them had to be your sister's friends? Let's move on. So he kind of says that, he does pay for her plane tickets to come, and he is kind of dipping into his savings now to do that. And he says that it's becoming, finances are definitely becoming an issue because he is dipping into the savings, which isn't great. But on top of that, he isn't really able to replenish because she won't let him work with female clients. And the female clients are about, 80 to 90% of his clientele. So if you're cutting the hands that feed you, what do? Like, I find this actually really fucking ridiculous. If it is like that serious for him to be working with female clientele because it is literally his bread and butter, then I don't know what to say. That's like, there is insecure and then there's just irrational. And I find this to be fucking irrational on Shekinah's part. But don't worry, I am gonna have choice words for him too a little later. But yeah, this is this. I don't know what else to say about this. So in the next scene, we're with Shekinah now, and we're meeting with Josh and Wendy, which I think we've definitely met Wendy before, maybe even Josh. And we're going to be getting their dogs groomed because Adonis is going to be coming to Turkey with her, which is her dog. And since he, can't train women, he's actually countered the fact that he doesn't want her attending LA events. Because if you remember, not only is she a cosmetologist, that's the right word to use, esthetician, whatever, she also used to do like LA events or planning LA events like part-time. So he no longer wants her doing that. How about this is an option? I don't know, have to be a normal fucking relationship. How about you literally say, work your jobs the way you see fucking fit, because at the end of the day, we need to fucking live and call it a fucking day. You are two grown ass people in your fucking 40s and you're out here being like, you can't work with females because you fucked 2,500 of them, so you're probably gonna fuck these people too, or you already did. Like, you know what I mean? Like, nonsense. Anyway, so her friend, I think it was Wendy, she's just gonna stay home alone doing nothing because you can't come to events. Yes, ma'am, yes. There's nothing wrong with doing that. Anyway, this is not like her. And she does tell them that, he will break up with her over like his feelings, kind of nonsense on his part a little bit. And we find out that they have actually, surprise, applied for the K1 visa. And in this moment, when she mentions this, I'm thinking to myself, wait, they're engaged? When were they engaged? Because that doesn't seem correct. And she's like, we just can't be apart. And then she says, because her friends are a little bit concerned here that, just because you two can't be apart, that's not enough of a reason to literally make life-changing decisions like this. But she says, listen, I mean, you're freaking out over nothing. It's not like he's even proposed to me yet. What the fuck? I'm sorry. I'm confused. Let me just, I've only been watching 90 Day Fiancé for, 10 seasons. And, or yeah, 10, whatever. And I was always under the impression, maybe I'm fucking crazy, that a K1 visa is meant for people who are already engaged. Am I wrong? Like that's what I thought. If you're not engaged, how can you do a K1 visa? Because to me, as a person who has done a spousal visa, you have to show proof of everything. You got a fucking ring, you gotta take fucking photos. You have pictures of your of the proposal, you better fucking give those things too. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand how, like, you can definitely, she has the proof of, she's traveled, which is great on a visa, but it's like, you need to be engaged and they're not even engaged. I'm so confused. Anyway, she's like, so I think, Josh asked, so what do you do in Turkey? Sir, I can tell you what they do in Turkey. You didn't even ask the question. We can all fucking tell you. But she says, well, he cooks for me. You know, we'll work out together. We'll fuck like 4 times a day. Just simple things. Simple things. Yeah. And she says, I'm also going to be getting a nose job while in Turkey, because when in Turkey, you get nose jobs. And he apparently created a new nose for her. Fucking lovely. And they're like, oh God, not the front of your face. Things can be changed, like your hair color and whatever the else fuck you said. But your face, honey, your sweet fucking face. You can't have him choose your fucking face. And she says, I trust him with my fucking face for him to design her fucking nose. Why not, right? Your fiancés. Oh, wait. No, they're not. But basically, that's it for Sarper and Shekinah. Okay, so guys, so much to say, and we're 44 or so minutes into this now. But there's just so much to talk about. But we are going to take a quick break here, and when we come back, we will finish up with this episode. And I am back. So let's jump in with Josh and Lily. So we basically see a man here playing with Legos. Just a grown ass man reenacting what is to come when he lands in China. Grown ass man playing with Legos. But anyways, he is Josh. He's 47 years old and he's from South Carolina. And he's just a big kid at heart. Very big kid. And he says, I even feel more like a kid lately because I sold my house and I moved in with my parents again, which I think only done the last few months. Then we sit at the table. We're going to start eating, right? Simple, right? No, because we're hearing loud noises, eating noises, scraping of plates and scraping of knives on breads and sipping. And yeah, he says, I'll be right back. And his mom's like, oh no, here he is. Gonna go get the headphones. So he is going to go get earbuds to plug in because he has misophonia, which is basically he gave a better definition than I'm about to give. It's basically just him having very strong reactions to repetitive noises like eating too loudly and, you know, other things. So he says he struggled with this for his whole life. The only person, though, who doesn't seem to bother him or bother his misophonia is his wife, Lily. He says that he basically met her while attempting to learn how to speak Mandarin, and she, I guess, was learning how to speak English. And they, you know, basically met each other in a language app. And he says it kind of got to the point where I went from learning Mandarin to ditching that whole thing and wanting to learn more about Lily. So she is 46 years old. They basically talked for about 2 years, and then she came to the States to basically meet him. And he ended up proposing to her, and 18 days later, they went to Vegas and got married. He said that she never really intended to live in the States. That's not her, that's not something she wants to do. She has a very successful cosmetology business in China, and she basically left the States a month after they got married. So then we, after all of this, see him playing a piano, and his brother walks in, Jared, and Josh is like, so do you want something to drink? Okay, I got you. Walks away from the fucking piano, and the piano's still going. What the fuck sorcery is this? What is happening? I'm so confused. I have questions. I have a lot of fucking questions. What is going on? I've never seen this in my life. Am I crazy? I've never seen this. Anyway, so him and his brother, Jared, go to the hot tub. I didn't find this weird at all. And they are about a year and a half apart, so they're pretty close. They are kind of talking about the fact that when he gets to China, they are actually going to be planning to do another wedding, would be a more traditional Chinese wedding, since her parents couldn't be there at the Vegas wedding. And he also says that his parents won't be able to be at the second wedding, but his brother will be there. His family, unfortunately, wasn't able to get their visas on time, so that's why they won't be there. And he also mentions this really interesting tidbit that I don't think we've ever heard before, but then again, we haven't had people going to China before. I feel like it was the first for this. But he mentions that he won't be able to work as long as he is on a spousal visa. So as long as a man is on a spousal visa, he cannot work. And he won't be able to apply for, I guess, more of a permanent residency type visa for the first 5 years of him being in the country. And it is at that time he'll probably get a work visa or a work permit, whatever, and be able to work at that point. So for the first 5 years of them being in China, he will not be able to work. What the fuck? What the fuck? I have questions. Nothing that can be answered, but I have questions. And he worries that, people will judge them. He does say, like, it doesn't bother Lily, but, her friends could judge her. Her family could judge her for the fact that he doesn't work. So there's a lot kind of, potentially going to be affected by something that's completely out of their control. It's out of their control, nothing they can do about it. But, yeah, that sucks. So we are in China though, and we have the Chinese version of Cribs, the TLC version of Cribs. And we have Lily's crib, which is a 3-bed, 4-bath home equipped with an elevator and a home theater. And then we see her basically open the door. She's like, welcome to my crib. So she has a lot of something. I can't read my handwriting, but she owns a beauty company that's mentioned, a cosmetic company. And she does say that her company is very profitable. So, for her, it's not going to bother her that he can't work. So, but she has apparently decided that she's going to be renovating this home that she owns that I guess she doesn't actually live in. I don't know, but this is what she's going to be doing. So we're going to be kind of seeing a little bit more information about that. But we're back with him and we see him calling her, and he says that his Mandarin is awful. Her English is not great. So he's going to be bringing a translator app that we do kind of see in action a little later, but he's going to be purchasing that. And we see her kind of just showing him around, like showing him the house through the video camera. And he says, I was fine with the idea of living in her apartment that she does apparently live in, but she insisted on renovating this house. So, and she says, I'm bankrupt now. And he's like, no. Bankrupt means that you're legitimately bankrupt. You're probably just, ran out of money. And she said that she has found a lot of money. We don't know how much that is yet. We will. And he is worried. So yeah, he is worried because money has been an issue in past relationships and before. And he basically doesn't want to see that kind of happen again, right? But that's basically it for James and Lily for this episode. We are ending off this episode with a bang, y'all. And this bang is Corona and Inky where did they find these lovely trash heaps? I'm so happy. But I did right. What the fuck is happening? My girl is twerking on camera. You're thinking, oh shit, she has an OnlyFans. No. This is for labor. This is for when women are in labor. She's doing positions for labor. Anyways. And we see her kind of lying on her back. And she's like, listen, this is good for making babies. Yeah, it is. But it's not for having them. I wouldn't know. But she is 30 years old and she lives in Philadelphia, but is originally from Dallas, Texas. She is a doula and she has done like, I guess, birthing videos or tutorials on online. And she says that she's witnessed over 1,000 births and her goal is to become a midwife and potentially be a part of delivering 10,000 babies. But yeah, she has 2 hairless cats called Tits and Tricks. And she kind of explains a little bit about her past. She was an army brat. She kind of started to get a little bit restless and her mom kicked her out of the house. And she has been at that point living on her own since she was 16. But she did work also as a go-go dancer, so I think that explains a little bit. And so she's going to be moving to Iceland to be with Ingi, who is 38 years old, and he lives in the capital, which I'm not going to try and say. I am going to butcher it. But she says that they party hard and late in Iceland. They are open until like 5 o'clock in the morning. So she explains that she went to an after party after being at the club all night. And there was where she met Inky. He was kind of this, I guess bodyguard. I don't know, or she felt that way. But she said like she was irritated. She wasn't about it. But I guess he sensed that she was tired and she started to sense that she was tired. So he let her sleep in his bed. Y'all, he let a complete stranger sleep in his bed. I don't know about that. So she ended up going on a date with him where he didn't make a move. And then she went back to the States, but their relationship kind of, I guess, blossomed from that. And she asking him if he wanted to come to Ireland for her birthday. And she says, Sparks, we're flying. So she is a birthing coach for her friend Leo and their wife. And they basically asked her to be their doula long before they were pregnant. But it's at this time that she tells Leo that she's not actually going to be visiting Iceland. She's actually moving. But she will be counting down to help with the baby, the delivery of the baby. So she'll be back for that. Sorry about that. We had a little bit of a technical situation. But yeah, so she says that she does seem to have a better relationship with her family the further she is. But she's like in the fridge and she's like, why is there a whole pot in the fridge? Because her grandmother says her mom is like, she's like, I gotta sit. My legs are old. But her mom actually is hard of hearing. So she actually uses a tablet that translates what people says. So she's able to keep up with the conversation. But she says, okay, so let's talk about Ingi. Or she starts to say Ingi. And she's like, Ingi. The G, it actually sounds like a K, which is a Zinky. And her grandma's like, Inky, Zinky, Winky. It is what it is. She said, but why haven't we met him? And she says, well, he wants to meet you. I know like you're gonna love him. But everyone are kind of like, I don't know about that. And she says, she says like, she's like, why? Okay, so let me start over. When she says you're gonna love him or he'll love you or whatever, and her grandma's like, I don't know about that. She says, why? And she's like, I don't like people, ma'am. I don't like people either. I'm with you. So she's like, well, I gotta tell you guys, I'm actually going to be moving to Iceland in 2 weeks. Or she's gonna be moving where? To Iceland. Girl, please. Her family. Anyway, her mom's like, what the fuck? Because she had to catch up. And she's like, why? What about school? Because she's actually been accepted to midwife school in, I think it was Penn? I can't remember exactly what school it was, but she's been accepted and she should be starting soon and she is going to be foregoing it to be with him. The plan is that she is going to be applying to schools while in Iceland for being a midwife. But her family's like, who moves for a man? Like, who does that? And she's like, me. I don't do that. She is asked, I think by her mom, like, how long have you known him? Like, how long have you been around him? And she says, well, we've been together in person for 20 days. Great. But they've been together for over a year. And I think it's her aunt kind of says to her mother, you're not a background check on him yet. And her mom was like, no, I don't know his name. And the auntie's like, what's his last name? What's his last fucking name? Okay. And she's like, what's his date of birth? Give us the fucking details because we need the fucking details. And she says, see, that's a funny thing because in Iceland, you actually take your father's first name as your last name, but then you also have a family name. And her family's like, she don't know his last name. This girl don't even know his last name. And I don't even know my last name. But she's like, what is his last name on his driver's license? And she's like, I don't know. She's never seen his driver's license. So she's like, so what if he's like a killer? And she's like, oh no, sorry, not yet. What if he has a wife? That was the first one that was said. I'm jumping ahead. And she's like, he hasn't even been in a relationship before. I'm sorry, what? We're gonna find out this man is grown. This man is 38 years old and has never been in a relationship. What? And her aunt's like, what's wrong with him? There's nothing wrong with him, right? And her grandma's like, you're moving for a virgin? She's like, he's not a virgin. But you just said he doesn't have a girlfriend. Oh, you poor sweet summer child. Men these days don't, anyone that's men, is people in these days and day and age, don't need to be in a relationship to be having sex. Please. Anyway, so she's like, he's had hookups. He's 38, but they're like, I know, how old is he? 38. And she's like, so there's something wrong. She's like, what if he's a killer? She's like, he's not a killer. Yeah? Y'all. Everyone always thinks that the man ain't the killer. But then, you have people coming on being like, oh, there's just nothing wrong with him. He was such a sweet man. This is such a bad. Meanwhile, you're smiling on TV from a picture because you did. This is my life, y'all. Not my life, per se, but they're speaking to everything. Because it's true. This is what happens. You can't trust him. You don't know him. Anyway, she's like, no. But she's like, are there black people in Iceland? She says no. There is about there's a lot, I should say, of black people in Iceland. There is about maybe 5 black people in Iceland. And they, without missing a beat, just start laughing at the thought that she's going to be in this country with purely white people. This is great. So she's like, have you popped off at him? She's like, no, I have been soft partnering him, which is a term she's coined, which is very similarly to, the parental, gentle parenting or whatever the fuck. So she's like, I just don't want to pop off on him. She will take deep breaths and, she can kind of approach the situation like a bunny. And again, I wrote the fuck. Meanwhile, Granny's over here like, how many deep breaths can you take? Not very fucking many. And she kind of says here, which is actually very eye-opening, that he has never been with an angry Black woman. Now, I kind of hate her describing herself as an angry Black woman because we don't need to tell ourselves that. We can have other people tell us that because they think that is the only way a Black woman is upset, is that she's angry and just unreasonable about everything. I just don't like her kind of labeling herself as such. But yeah, let's see. She said she doesn't really want to unleash the angry Black woman, I guess. And she also doesn't want to risk her big mouth, I guess. Her words kind of, she not say, anyways, her words, not mine. It is about like unleashing that, which again, this is like, you should be able to be upset with your partner no matter the skin tone, no matter the stereotypes and all of that. And I feel like she's kind of feeding into it a little bit. I don't like it, but what can you do? Basically, that's it for Corona and Inky, and that is it for the episode. My goodness, this was a long episode, jam-packed, which I find that the other 2 episodes are also going to be pretty jam-packed, even though it's only an hour. But this was a really great episode. I am excited for this season. But that is it for this episode of Toe. You can expect to get the other 2 episodes following this episode. Either you'll get it the same day as this episode or you'll get it tomorrow. But that is it. So if you like what you heard, please rate, review the podcast on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, don't forget that you can also share us with everyone in your life if you really love this. And I do want to read those reviews. I'm definitely getting 5-star ratings, but I want to read those reviews. So send me those reviews and I will read those 4 and 5-star reviews on the podcast. Also, we're on every one of your favorite podcast apps. Every one of them, including, you can find us on YouTube at Reality Tea Times 2. If you want to connect with us, you can do so by going to either Facebook or Instagram at Reality Tea Times 2. You can also find us on Twitter, TikTok, Reddit at Reality Tea Times 2 Pod. We also have our email, which is at realityteatimes2 at hotmail.com. Definitely want to hear from you guys. And we also have our new website where you can listen to all of these episodes. You can review the podcast on there as well. You can connect with me in any way, all the stuff. It's all there, and you can find me there at www.realityteatimes2, all spelled out, .podpage.io. It's there. And don't forget, I also have my other podcast with my friend Mikkel, Next Take Podcast, where we talk about all kinds of different topics. But you can find us on any of your favorite podcast apps over there as well. Or you can also go to YouTube, and you go to Next Take Podcast, as well as our website, which is solo.to/Next Take Podcast. So yeah, there's that, and that's basically that. And again, don't forget, if all of this information is overwhelming, we do have all of the links, everything in our show notes. But that is it for now, guys. Thanks.